Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Kosberg here with another episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. Got a great guest for you today. Mr. Josh Coates is with us today. Josh is a high energy, no excuses, no BS motivational speaker and business coach. He's the #1 best-selling author of F with a few asterisks after it, Leadership, F Leadership. You get the idea. And host of a top 50 podcast, which is so cool, called Your Push Coach. Josh specializes in taking complicated business strategies and turning them into simple and duplicatable systems. He's also a mindset specialist who has a way of tearing down your limiting beliefs and giving you confidence to overcome any hurdle in life or business. Josh, great to be with you, brother, and happy to have you on the show and talk about your book, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I appreciate it. I'm happy to say that this time we're chatting, the sun is out in Oklahoma, and I don't feel quite as jealous of your spot right there on the beach. Still a little jealous, but not quite as jealous.
Love it. Well, it is spectacular. I am blessed to be where I am. I'm grateful to be where I am. You know, just beyond my computer there is the water, and it's
I'm always imagining it. I'm always imagining. I'm like, which side is the ocean on over there? Over here in Oklahoma, it's just not on any of the sides.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's pretty sweet here. So Oklahoma's a little bit different. There isn't an ocean right there, but Oklahoma's pretty cool too.
We've got some nice things. I like it here. I do.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, you know, we know each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're honored to help you with F Leadership.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like we always talk about on the podcast, there's two kinds of ideas. One is I want to talk about your expertise, your magic, your specialty, the thing that you do to help people and how you put that into a book. And then two, I want to talk about, okay, what's your book doing for you? Your book is obviously, you know, magic for people, right? It helps tons of people. But I want to talk about how it's helped Josh Coates. We'll get to that towards the latter part. So tell me a little bit about the clients that you serve, who you work with, and the kind of magic that you do for them.
Well, I kind of specialize in network marketers. I also work occasionally with some other life coaches that come to me and say, hey, I see what you have done. Would love to learn how you've done it, how to kind of, you know, life coaches that kind of got some things going on, but they really want to like scale it up to the next level. But mostly it's working with network marketers. You know, when I went to social media with my business, just celebrated being in business for 7 years, which is really cool. I'm 37. Yeah, I'm 37 years old. So like that's all I wanted when I was 30 and started this thing was 7 years from now to be where I'm at today. So
beautiful. That's what you want. Yeah,
I was trying to do it in person the first year. Just too many trips to coffee shops that weren't going well. I mean, a lot of pats on the back. Hey, you're doing a good job, kiddo. You know, as a 30-year-old kid, not a lot of business people were, you know, they were excited by what I was doing, but I didn't have that level of influence with them. So I took my business to social media, found that network marketers were the people that were really, really, really craving some accountability, some help. And as a certified life coach, you know, I can technically help anybody in any realm of life, in any industry, because life coaching is about asking good questions and helping other people to discover the answers that already live on the inside. Yeah. But what happens is if you're any good at it, you start noticing everybody basically has the same problem, right? I mean, there's like 3 or 4 problems, right? So as my clientele started filling up, but at that point, I didn't know anything about what to charge. So I was charging such little prices that even with 15 or 20 one-on-one clients, it still wasn't enough to quit my job. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So that's when actually a friend of mine was like, yeah, I think you need to launch some type of book, some type of curriculum, like just something that you can sell to the masses. And I was actually stuck in a traffic jam with 20 ounces of cold brew in my system when I came up with the idea for my first course that I called Clarity and Focus for Entrepreneurs. And it was just, okay, everyone I talk to seems to have issues with knowing what to do, sticking with knowing what to do, and then sticking around for long enough for it to pay off. And so I kind of built my business by just taking what I was hearing on one-on-one sessions, listening for the repeats, churning it into content, making it a course. And over time, I kind of started to build up such a large name for myself that all the top people wanted to work with me. And that kind of began to be the people I would work with one-on-one. I'd kind of make myself exclusive available to top performers. And then for anyone else, we'd have courses. And then kind of, I just got really passionate from just talking to enough leaders and launching some more kind of like small groups. I got really, really passionate about leadership, which is something that I've always been passionate about. But here's what I started hearing, Rob, when I would go behind the scenes and ask people, like, what's your biggest problem? Like, why are you struggling to build a team, to lead a team, to move to the next level? And I kept hearing people say, I don't think I'm good enough of a leader. Which was just such a weird thought to me because I went through John Maxwell certification. John Maxwell is like the leader of leaders, right?
Yeah, he's the foremost leadership expert.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And what's crazy is being trained by the number one leader on the planet. There was never, ever, ever, ever any type of idea of like some people are good at this and some people aren't.
Right.
It was just, hey, day one, here's some homework, go do it. And in fact, what's funny, some people don't know this. I built my business to more than $10,000 a month before I had my official certification because John Maxwell said, don't wait till you're certified.
Exactly. Do you really need a certification?
Yeah.
A certification to me is someone else giving you permission to do what you can just give yourself permission to do. Exactly.
And so for me, I needed a certification because I needed to learn some things that I could use to help people.
Yeah.
But I didn't need the stamp. I needed the tools.
Yeah.
So
you needed the education, not the certification.
Exactly. Yeah. So, for me personally, there were just never any thoughts of you're not a good leader because I was taking what John Maxwell was saying. I was learning it. I was taking it all in. And my idea was John Maxwell teaches the law of the lid that says there is a lid on your capacity to perform based on the level of leader you are. And if that's a low level, you just need to go learn more. You need to go try more. You need to go do more, right? So I realized early on I had a really low lid, but that just means I needed to read more books. I needed to talk to more people. In other words, it was always an action thing.
Yeah.
And that's what a challenge does. A challenge brings about an action, but a limiting belief usually paralyzes you from action and then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So their idea of I'm not a good leader was actually causing them to avoid the things that would have made them a leader.
Right.
And so that was kind of the idea behind the book, actually, Rob, was I'm so sick and tired of people. And I really think that social media has played into this role. I think that the word leader and celebrity have somehow got meshed together into one idea that, especially in the online space, when people say, I'm not good enough of a leader, what I find when I dig deeper is that they're usually comparing themselves to someone who makes more money, has bought the dream house, has the funnel that's automating $20,000 a day. And they start seeing that as leader versus when I break it down and I just say, can you just define? Just give me a definition of that word. Like, what's your actual definition? Usually people say, well, show up even when it's hard, lead by example, be a person of your word, care about people, want to help. In other words, what they actually think of a leader is more about your character, but what they have allowed themselves to hold them back from is the idea of a celebrity. And so my book was like, let's tear down the celebrity walls and get back to what leadership really is, not what you think it is. And what's crazy is, in my opinion, there's a lot of really good leadership books out there that kind of share these character traits. But again, we get it in our head that it's something different. And sometimes you can't just learn what it is. Sometimes you have to unlearn what you've learned to then kind of relearn what it is, if that makes sense. So, and as a life coach, that's kind of your job, is to help people kind of like tear down the walls of their past beliefs so that they can build new walls of a new belief that they want to have.
Love that. Love that. So F leadership, a little controversial, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is almost the anti-John Maxwell idea, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it
I'm a
sounds
big
like
fan of
it.
John. I know John personally.
Yeah.
My brother and my dad are both Maxwell certified coaches. So
Awesome.
I know the whole path and know John from Palm Beach and various things. And so,
Yeah.
So it's funny that you're a Maxwell certified coach. But you kind of did a little bit of the anti-John thing. Talk to me about that. Was that, obviously you believe in much of the same principles, but
Yeah.
why go that route? Where was the thinking?
Well, the thinking was, I mean, and I've kind of always done this a little bit with my brand. I actually have a bracelet that I wear on my wrist that says #Let's Puke Together.
Okay.
And it's not in support of any type of, every once in a while, someone's like, I'm so offended. Why would you support eating disorders? And I'm like, who in the world supports eating disorders? Come on. There's nobody in the world that supports that. But that comes from my goals philosophy of trying to figure out what you really want and actually going for that versus just writing down something that's maybe a 5% increase. Like nobody's waking up early in the morning for a 5% increase, right? That comes from being on one-on-one sessions, going through the process, and then hearing people as they say out loud for the first time in their entire life what they really want, saying, oh my gosh, I feel sick to my stomach. Like I literally feel like I'm going to vomit. And it was like, okay, well, let's puke together. And that kind of became my new hashtag. And so for this, it was kind of one of those things where if you coach enough people and you hear the same silly problems, and again, we're all human, so we all have silly problems, right? So it's easy for me to call them silly problems. I'm in the coaching chair, right? I have my own set of silly problems. Right. But when you just hear the same silly problems over and over and over and over and over, I've got a little bit of a mouth on me. So occasionally I just want to grab my laptop, throw it through the window, and literally say out loud, F leadership. I'm so sick of this word. I'm so sick and tired of people taking this word. And I do think sometimes it's my own industry's fault. I think maybe we've talked about it too much. I think we've written too many books on it. I think there comes a point, in my opinion, Rob, where if you take the same thing and you beat it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, eventually it becomes an exaggerated idea just because we talked about it too much. Yeah.
I see the attractiveness of that idea in the network marketing industry. I mean, John obviously speaks a lot in that industry because leadership seems to play like this, because I guess the idea is you're building a team and the team needs a leader. And so there's this overarching theme always in the network marketing industry that I've seen where, if you're not a leader, if you're not a great leader, if you don't have all these skills of a great leader, then you're cooked. You might as well not even start. So the idea was, let's tear down those sacred cows, so to speak, and let's start from scratch and give people hope.
Right. Exactly. Because really, and one of the analogies I like to use is, would you ever go to your church, go up to the pastor and say, excuse me, sir, how many people have you helped make $1 million? And he's probably going to be like, well, I haven't really helped anybody. I mean, I have maybe some people in church that have made $1 million, but I didn't help them do that. Right. Well, sorry, you're not qualified to be a leader. Go ahead and go home. Right. Let's find, like in no other industry we build, but the network marketing industry, like you said, is different because they do have to build a team. And so they almost take the word leadership too far. Whereas I think a lot of people consider me a good leader. And yet, I've never personally considered me to be a good leader. I've just been trying to figure out what step to take next to succeed. Yeah. Right. And if that means helping other people, that means helping other people. But I'm not sitting around. It's almost like what I talked about earlier, the level of leader you are as a lid. Yeah. It's almost like I use that as a tool, whereas some people use that as like a critical, oh my gosh, where am I? Am I only a 2? And for me, it's just, well, this is a tool to just find out where I am. Yeah. And again, insecurities, this is why personal growth is so valuable. This is why more of us need to write books, because our insecurities, they tend to take them out of context, over exaggerate them, turn them into a barrier instead of a tool.
Right. Love that. Obviously, people need to get the book because it'll tear down maybe some of the mental blocks that people have. Let's shift gears for a little bit. Yep. Let's talk about the book for you. Obviously, you have the book all over your website. The book has done very, very well, became a #1 bestseller internationally. How has the book helped you And specifically, like, we're in a year of C19, so it's not like you're doing a lot of public speaking, which I imagine that there was opportunities to do that in the past. But how has it helped you financially? How have people maybe changed their perspective of you, et cetera?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd love to just do like a little bit of like marketing teaching and teach how the book kind of like plays into this. Cause similar to, Rob's got the publish, promote, profit. Always great when you've got 3 of the same letter and it actually makes sense, right? Yeah, I do too. So I have this whole marketing strategy that I call expand, engage, convert. And basically
you gotta change that C into an E somewhere.
I know. Expand, engage in.
I could later.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I missed one of them, which really does bother me. But basically, the idea is my ability to convert, which is all of our goals. Everyone's got, if you're listening to this, you want to convert more people. That's why you're here, right? My ability to convert is entirely dependent on my ability to expand and engage. Expand is my ability to find new people. Engage is my ability to build some type of a relationship and have some type of credibility with them, right? Yeah. So before my book, it was run lots of ads around motivational posts. I do it a little bit different than other people. I don't do a lot of straight to call to action stuff. For me, it's motivational posts and free videos and stuff like that. I'm very big on a monthly free webinar that I do every single month. This was how I was expanding. As far as engaging goes, that's a matter of seeing my Instagram posts. It's a matter of seeing some other ads that I would kind of boost to like share more of my content. And then kind of my webinar was this place that I would bring people together to kind of build that relationship, take it further, position myself, and then at the end of the call, convert. The reason I love my webinar is because it can usually do kind of all 3 in one. A first-time person, totally down to come to a free training call, right? Yeah. But you're also getting to engage the people that have already been there. Yeah. And then you get to convert them. What I found with the book is it can do the same thing my webinar can do, except one, I don't have to show up live. Obviously, I had to show up live for a year to put this material together, right? But one, I don't have to show up live. 2, in my opinion, at the end of a webinar, my average customer will spend up to $600 or $700. But after reading a book, they're more likely to spend more like $3,500. So in my opinion, the value of a customer, it basically 7 to 10x's the second they read a book versus being on a webinar. And I think the reason for that, Rob, is in 40 minutes, you can only build so much trust. And I do think webinars are my sweet spot. I did one last night. It is my sweet spot, but it's only 40 minutes.
Right.
My book allows me to be in my sweet spot for 15 chapters. And when someone is done with it, you're not just like, wow, I really like this guy. You are like, this is my new dude. Like it almost takes me from being the guy online that teaches cool stuff to feeling like I am a John Maxwell. Yeah. And that's a really big difference.
And that's how John Maxwell became John Maxwell, right?
Correct.
He was a country preacher. He was not the leadership guru or expert until he started writing books about 25 years ago. And of course, he writes a new leadership book with much of the same principles every single year.
Correct. And, yes.
So obviously, I love that. Give me some specifics. How have you, I agree philosophically. Of course, I agree. I have 1,000 clients I've helped.
Right.
So philosophically, I agree with that. But specifically, how has the book done that? Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's kind of like what I say about ads. I personally use a lot of ads. I know not everyone listening does. That's fine. I'll talk about some organic stuff as well. But to me, I always tell my clients, using ads for Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, wherever you're doing them, is just taking what you already do organically well and giving it more power. Okay, so it's just boosting what you do. To me, the book is all about boosting everything else you're already doing. So if you're already running ads, you've probably listened to an Amy Porterfield or a Russell Brunson, and they've said to come up with some type of clickbait or whatever, right? And it's a free PDF.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we've gotten to the point, Rob, where a free PDF is just not cutting it anymore.
Sure.
If I have X amount of ads show up today, right? And one of them was download my free PDF, and one of them was I'll send you a free book. I'm going to take the free book, right? So to me, it's one of those things. It's a value factor, right. Free download that I know cost you absolutely nothing. Or I remember when I first started seeing your ads, because that is how I ended up doing my book deal with you. I saw an ad and I literally knew exactly what you were doing with it, but I was interested enough in writing a book. I was like, I want to order this book and kind of see what this next. I think I read 2 chapters and then called your team because I wasn't looking to learn the whole philosophy. I just wanted to make sure that that was your philosophy, right? So, with ads, you want to plug them into your ads. It's automatically giving you more credibility, because if you're the kind of person who can afford to send people books, this is how I personally saw it as a customer. Yeah. I said, this person's doing well enough that they can afford to send people books for free. This isn't just some random Joe Schmo working out of the shed. Like, this is a legit. So it adds some legitimacy to your, to what you do.
Never thought of that. That's a great point. I really like that. And it does, of course, the book itself adds enough legitimacy and credibility. Yep. You don't need anything else, but that is something. And that's maybe a reason to send people a physical book as opposed to a digital book. Obviously, with a digital book, you can do it more easily and more effectively and certainly more inexpensively. But, a digital book doesn't live on somebody's shelf forever.
Exactly.
Right? After they're done reading your book, they don't throw it in the garbage. No one throws the book in the garbage, right? They put it on the shelf. They put it on their bed or on their little table next to their bed. So how many books have you given away, and what has it led to? Give me some specifics there.
Man, that's a good question, Rob.
How many do you give away a month? Or because I see, you got ads running, you got people doing it on your website. What would you say?
We send 30 to 100 per week, just depending on what kind of other traffic we have to the website.
Great.
I don't know that I think of that as a ton, but again.
Oh, that's a lot. What's wrong with that?
Oh, I don't know. I want to do more.
That's great. 100, let's use a nice round number. Let's call it, 50 a week. Which sounds like it's more than that, but that's 200 people a month that are engaging with you. Now, what happens with those 200 people after they get your book? What do you do? And then what results have you gotten from those 200 people to 300 people a month?
It's pretty similar to, I'm sure, what Rob teaches. We've got a sales page set up. You get the book. There's an order bump of about $38. What I did with my order bump is a BOGO deal.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, I worked in a shoe store. Lots of women. My audience happens to be a lot of women because that's the network marketing space. They love BOGO deals. Okay. People love BOGO deals. So I took 2 of kind of my mini trainings. One is a 5-day leadership challenge. One is a 5-day recruiting challenge. Put them together and said, hey, if you go ahead and add this right now, I'm going to buy one, get one free. So you can buy my 5-day recruiting challenge, get my leadership challenge. The BOGO is great.
I like that.
So that order bump is $38. From there, it jumps up to $100 for something I call my MLM University. And basically, it's just my full online library of evergreen trainings. So everything I've recorded for the last 4 years, and I don't mark my courses super high. I don't do the $1,500 courses. My pre-recorded stuff runs $100 to $200. So
you're ultimately trying to move them into the coaching anyway.
That's exactly.
Where your back end is.
Correct. So the MLMU, I have marked down all the way to $99. So it shows on there. You're going to get everything I've ever recorded on mindset, recruiting, sales, leadership. Normally, this would have cost you $1,500, but because you're here getting my book, I want to offer it to you for $99. That one does really well, and that one single thing offsets most of our ad spend.
Nice.
And again, that's the goal. I'm sure if you're here listening, you know the strategy. The strategy is not necessarily to make profit off of your ads, even though if you do, obviously that's great. The strategy is make your ad spend back so that you can spend as much as you want.
Free leads.
Exactly.
3 great leads.
Right. Within that, once we get them the book, we also have an email. So I heard this from a guy who does e-commerce. He said that whatever your welcome email or your congrats, your order is fulfilled, your order fulfillment email has like a 90% open rate. And so something he said that blew up his e-commerce business was to make sure there's an upsell on every single welcome email. So what we started doing was taking that, we wrote a custom email instead of letting, our software do an automated one like it does, wrote a custom email. And in there, we offer a $1 trial into my low ticket subscription group. So I've got all of these things that are evergreen. And then I have 2 different live groups. One is a low ticket, one is a high ticket. And we go ahead and just give every single person that comes through a free trial into the low ticket group, because it doesn't cost us anything. I'm showing up for that Monday call, whether they do or not. I'm already leading the group, whether they're there or not.
How much a month is it after the $1 trial?
It's 140.
140 a month. And how long is the $1 trial for?
30 days.
Okay, so they get 30 full days for a buck.
I let them come in and just check out the entire group because I don't have anything to lose. Yesterday, you weren't paying me anything. So why not let you hang out for 30 days, catch my energy, catch what's going on. We have about a 20% stick around rate.
So how many take it though? So what's the take rate from the email of the $1 trial? And then 20% stay, which is phenomenal. So what give me that?
Yeah. So I don't have an exact number on that because we also offer the free trials on the webinar. And if you want, we can kind of get into the webinar sequence here in just a second. So I don't have a percent because they kind of all get mixed together and I don't pay. Yeah, I know.
That's too bad. I really love that strategy. I mean, I think that's gold, Josh, for people listening. I'm totally going to steal that too. But I'll give you credit, so don't worry. No, I love that. And whoever the e-commerce guy was came up with the idea. I love that. I think that is a terrific idea, and a 20% stick rate is really good.
Yeah, it is. And then out of the 20% that stick around, about 80% of them do multiple months.
Right.
So, and again, yesterday, this person was someone who was just going to buy a book.
Yeah.
Got a couple upsells to help me offset ad spend, but literally in the welcome email, I got them into the space I want them to be, which is my live space where there is ongoing payments and ongoing value. Yeah. I personally do my high ticket a little bit different. My high ticket is not for everyone. It's application only. You have to be a certain leadership level. So we don't really have it built in, although I'm kind of re-looking at this with a coach, Rob, and kind of looking at building out a sales team like what you have. Yeah. I'm looking at finding a way to have a high ticket that is available to anyone who wants it so that, that would probably double or triple my funnel the first year just because I don't have that. Like my high ticket, you have to be at this level. Yeah. And, we know statistically speaking, Pareto principle, only 20% of people are going to qualify for that. Right. And only 20% of people convert. So I'm kind of leaving
some advice would be look at Taki Moore. Taki's a good friend and a client of mine. We helped him with his book, $1 Million Coach. And, he helps people. First of all, he runs the exact model you're talking about. He requires coaches to be at a certain level or they can't get into what he's called his black belt program, which is like $30K a year. And he helps people go from one-on-one to group coaching. And he's developed the group coaching model in such a way that they get even better results in the group coaching than they do on one-on-one. So take a look at Taki and maybe even get his book, $1 Million Coach, because
I'll check it out.
It's a phenomenal kind of layout of what that model looks like. Josh, do you have any numbers or stats on the people that are coming from the book and going all the way to your highest ticket coaching offer? Any idea on what that looks like?
I don't have an exact number, but I can tell you and that's why, here's one of the reasons exact numbers are harder for me is I have a webinar built into the funnel that ends up doing a lot of the converting for me.
Right.
So again, I make my money back on ad spend, but I still do a monthly live webinar. And I am pumping ads toward everyone that's coming into the email list to get on the live webinar that converts really, really, really well. Yeah. And again, the book is just like I mentioned, boosted the results on everything. So my webinars are converting better than they've ever converted. Yeah. More people coming into my high ticket. I don't have exact numbers, but I will say I've had several messages from people that are like, just read your book. What do I have to do?
Yeah. How can I get started?
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually one of the things that I do, Rob, is for the sake of my high ticket mastermind, I regularly download reports on my book because I ask them when they come in, what company are you with and what's your rank?
Yeah.
And so I go through reports every single week, look for the people that actually could do this group, and I reach out to them individually. That's the only one-on-one sales that I do instead of my team. Is I go through personally, message these people, ask if they're interested, see if they want to hop on a Zoom call to chat about it. And again, that's the thing we're looking to scale this year, is to build out a team full of people that do that for me. And then what I will probably do, something I did a week or two ago that was really effective. I actually stole this from my network marketers. They do these things called sneak peeks, where it's like a sneak peek into what it's like to be a distributor in our business. And anyone that's interested in signing up for their team, they hop on a 1-hour call, kind of talk to them about what it's about. I never really loved the idea personally, because I feel like a webinar is more of like, let's add value and then introduce you. But the thing I found about actually calling it a sneak peek was nobody showed up unless they were considering buying. And that kind of changed the whole format of the call. I didn't have to spend 40 minutes setting someone up for a punchline.
Right.
What I was able to do instead was just be like, okay, you're here because you're interested in the Push Elite. Let me tell you why the Push Elite is changing so many lives. And it's almost like you get to skip that 40-minute setup and go straight to the punchline, which gives you a little more time to share more testimonials. I had 3 different people from the group come in and share their results. Of course, I set them up to, hey, what's the number one reason you almost didn't join this group? That's my favorite question to ask for testimonials. Yeah, because it gets people saying things like, well, I was really worried about the cost, or my significant other like really didn't like the idea. And what it does is it allows everyone watching or reading to go, oh, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Right. So the rest of this story must be what the rest of my story would be, right? So it gets them in your client's shoes immediately. And then when they're like, yeah, and then I signed up and, doubled my income in the first 3 weeks, they're like, wait, so that's my story? That's the one that converts really well for me.
Awesome. Josh, love it, man. So many great ideas. So many things for me to steal. Tell me, where can people get your book? Those that want it. Find out more about the stuff that you're doing. Let's figure out where to get these people some help.
So you can go to joshcoats.com. My book will be splattered across joshcoats.com. COATS, no E in it. You can also find me on Instagram, joshcoats_pushcoach. But obviously my website is where you're going to get most of these listeners. Go to my website, click on the book, see kind of the process that it takes you through. You can also check out my podcast, which is Your Push Coach. And I'll just say that my podcast is completely catered toward network marketers. So if you're here writing a book and that's not your jam, it's probably not the right jam for you. But go to my website and kind of just see what's the flow of things. I do believe that my website, even though we all know that sales pages convert, not websites, we still kind of need websites, because sometimes you're on a podcast and you need somebody to just go to joshcoats.com versus joshcoats.com/free book and then hope that the HTTPS whatever is like proper, right? So go to my site and just check out the flow and just see what happens when you click on things. If you want to go through the funnel, purchase some stuff, and then shoot me an email. As long as you shoot me an email, say, hey, I'm from Rob's podcast, I'll refund you anything that you want to buy in the funnel if you want to just check it out just to see what's going on. Rob, I'm really passionate about this because your book, I want to make sure we get this in the show. Your book has really transformed the way I do business. Again, I think that I had a lot of good stuff already going, but the book boosts everything you're doing. There's nothing like getting on a team call or a podcast and them saying #1 best-selling author. Right. It literally makes everyone's eyes pop a little bit brighter, right? Now, I had a good bio. It was fine, right? But again, the #1 bestseller, it boosts my bio. It boosts my reputation. It boosts my funnels. It boosts my ads. It boosts my webinar. It literally takes everything that I'm already doing well and almost just like adds a Midas touch to it. Yeah. So, and I know I want everyone listening to build a funnel. I want you to do that, but I also want you to understand it goes beyond that. It looks better in my
sophisticated funnel to make a book work, honestly.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you can do it, it's great.
If you can do it, it's awesome. But honestly, I'm still retweaking my funnel. I still have weeks where I'm like, man, ad spend wasn't converting the way I wanted it to. Let's go check out somebody else's page. I'm just constantly looking at other pages, seeing, is there something they said that I never thought of? Is there, I go to people's ads libraries, look for different video ideas, look for different copy ideas. You can set it up and leave it. You actually totally can. And I've done that for seasons, which we didn't say this, but Rob, we launched this at the end of 2019. So I'm going on a year and a half of still riding the momentum of this book because I just keep plugging it a year and a half later. And I'm just now thinking, okay, I think it's time to put out a new one just to get some fresh energy going, but it's still doing its thing. So, that's the thing is as business owners, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to constantly have something, social media says new content every single day. And I have found, Rob, that people who make a lot of money and actually have time for their family and their hobbies are people who don't create a million things over and over and over. They create one thing and they promote it a million times.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh, well said, brother. And thank you for your kind words, and honor to work with you and to see all the success from your book. So thanks for being on today, and excited to see what's to come next with you.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I appreciate it.